friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we look at movies we love, break them apart to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and white thing that I had birthed in another mother.
Definitely Alex Dandino.
All right, guys, before we finish March Madness month, a little business. If you guys could take a second right now, this second, leave us a rating and review wherever you find the show, especially if that happens to be Apple Podcast app. That helps us out a lot. Defeat these corporate, medical, marine, overlord, algorithmic trash bags that we got to defeat.
Buttholes.
So, yeah, you guys leave a 5-star, a couple sentences saying why you like hanging out with the show. Helps us bring more Alchemist onto the lifeboat and escape to freedom, sweet cinematic freedom. Please go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the Film Alchemist channel. That's what it's called. We have video versions of these pods and a lot of other fun stuff we're working on over there. Always more to come. You can email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com, or find us on all the social media you're on to let us know any movies that you would like to hear us cover, whether they be new, old, a double feature, a theme for a whole month, a guest host you'd like us to reach out to. Whatever you want, we want to try to give that to you. So reach out. You are just really dwarfing it up in the vid, distracting my professional intros. All right. Since Alex is just determined to mime me out of existence.
Doing my best, Brad Dorff. Be quiet.
Just sick for an audio format. All right, so we
for
finished,
the YouTubers.
That's right. We finished today
Our
our
plentiful
month
YouTubers
of madness. One quick thing before we get into the episode. We dropped earlier this week our episode on The Empty Man, the
So
lost
good.
gem of 2020 that I think everyone who listens to this show and enjoys what we do is going to love The Empty Man.
It's
were fortunate
right up
enough.
your alley.
Yeah, we were joined by our friends Josh Lobo, writer, director of I Trapped the Devil, and film critic, writer, and YouTube superstar Chris Stuckman. It was an amazing deep dive. So go find that as well. Find those guys' works by I Trapped the Devil. But today we are here to talk about Alien Resurrection. This is how we're closing down March Madness.
Yes!
This might be the most mad of all the movies we've covered. So guys, I'm going to be up front. I'm going to be up front right with you because that's what we do here on this show.
We're very honest.
This is going to be I think the best adjective is violent defense of Alien Resurrection. I think it is one of the most unfairly maligned franchise films of all time. I fucking love this movie. There is so many good elements and big, awesome, fun ideas in this movie that work for me, that the critiques, of which there are, many reasonable critiques, right, are so outweighed by the vast amount of awesome. So this is going to be a hearty defense of Alien Resurrection. Alex, are you on the side of the defense for me, or will you be playing the part of prosecution?
What are we doing next month already? I am 100% unabashedly unashamed of how much I fucking love Alien Resurrection.
Absolutely.
100% unfairly maligned movie. You guys have got to give it one. And I really think that if once you get past whatever weird hang up you have, this movie is deeply entertaining despite the fact that it was written by Joss Whedon, who's a known creep. But
let's focus here, right? So this is where we can start. I truly do think there are two main gripes with this movie, or at least two that I would be like, all right, I acknowledge that. So the first one is I do think there is a second act problem where a traditional Alien film is more about the unknown menace, right? This ever looming dread of impending alien coming at us. And the scares really work well that way. This one opts kind of for the exact opposite, right? We're going to show you a lot of cartoony ass aliens swimming and doing sporting events to get these
a lot of
fucking
highlight,
space pirates. Yeah, it's
badminton. It's strange.
I understand the swimming sequence and a lot of that kind of stuff is not the tone and vibe that we dig from Aliens. Fine, I'll grant you that. I think it plays more of it's just kind of a by the numbers, we got to get to the thing, right? The least fun haunted house run ever. It's kind of like when you go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal and you're like, this on paper seems fun, but I walked through for 3 minutes after waiting for 3 hours and I missed all the scares. And that's kind of how I feel about that, right?
Yes.
So I'll grant you that. In the second one, I truly do think that the basketball scene is probably the rock in the shoe, because this happens before the second act problem. And I think the outside, like this side of Escape from LA, this might be the worst use of basketball in a movie. And what I think
Escape from LA is amazing.
I think it's the movie that, all right there, film hipster. This is something I want to do on this show too, because film Twitter has many things that drive some people nuts. I don't think it's as bad as others do all the time. But the thing I hate the most is someone will say, this movie, which we've all kind of agreed is objectively not good, but maybe we have a soft spot for, and they'll be
right.
This movie needs to be re-examined. It's a true classic. And you're like, you fucking liar. You don't believe that. You're trying to score film hipster points.
Absolutely.
It's okay to just admit a movie's not great and still enjoy watching. That's fine. I think this is one of those that actually needs a re-examination. But back to my basketball point. I think this is the moment in the film where the audience goes, oh, fuck. I don't know if this guy's going to land the ship, right? I think it's the moment in the script where you're like, there had to be another idea that would have been better. And again, this has nothing to do with Ripley as an athletic specimen. But think back to Aliens, right? In Aliens, we find out that there's a synthetic on the ship because Lance Hendrickson does the knife between the fingers with Bill Paxton.
Right.
And it's one of the most awesome scenes in that movie. It's just badass, right? It's like visceral, space armada shit, right? With Marines.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. Shooting hoops against horny Ron Perlman ranks very low as an event in the Olympiad chart of awesome sports feats, right? I think there's any number of things on a giant military medical grade ship with monsters in it that she could have done to show how this has affected her body. I think once you see basketball, there is oh God, they're so lazy. I really think that sets in for the audience, and you're like, well, if they don't care, why should I care? And then that's almost immediately followed up by the cartoony alien bit.
Sure. I mean, for me, the basketball thing is, like on the lower priority scale of like, how do we show Ripley is different from the others? Because like, I think there's another step. There's another key to like why people don't want to do Alien Resurrection or admit that it actually is an entertaining movie, and that is the Ripley of it all. Ripley, this movie takes place 200 years after Aliens 3, in which Ripley dies quite heroically, in fact. So that I think is really fascinating because to me, and we've talked about this, it's always the give. You got to have a give in a movie. There's one thing that is so illogical, like it's the true suspension of disbelief. There's always one that you got to give in a movie. You give that one so that you can actually enjoy the rest of it. You can't give two because that's ridiculous, but one is fine.
You'd be shocked how many movies I'd never get 3 in a row.
You'd be shocked how many movies attempt to get you to give 3. You're not going to give them. But the give in this movie is the emergence of Ripley herself, because I'm not going to lie to you, through no fault of anyone's, I will never understand the earthly scenario in which Ellen Ripley reemerges 200 years later as an alien hybrid clone. Look, it's no one's thing. I mean, look, we all want to see Sigourney Weaver in alien movies. That's part of our jam. That's how it works. I just never understood it, but it's the give I get to this movie. And I think that also is a big hang up for a lot of people. Once you get past that, the basketball scenario is, yes, one of like, I don't know, 400 sports that you could have chosen from to display that Ripley is a superhuman. Yeah, I personally would have picked maybe archery. Anything else?
Oh God, that's even lower. If she's just shooting arrows at Ron Perlman's
how
always
awesome would it have been
erection.
If she shot an arrow and like it went, like if she like you know what? Never mind. Either way, it's a stupid idea. Playing
but that's
sports
the thing. Within 1 second, you came
played.
up with an idea that's equally as horrible, if not a little better than what they
I don't know
did.
what you're talking about. Archery is awesome. I've done a lot of Olympic sports in the last 2 weeks on the show I'm working on.
I'm just saying, how many crew members, how many passes of scripts, someone had to like rent a basketball hoop from a prop house. Like there was probably literally 2,000 moments where someone went, you got to be fucking, I signed up for it. It reminded me of when, I can't remember who it was. It was the drummer for the Cult, right? He joined Guns N' Roses and he's like, yeah, I'm joining a badass rock. But he got there, the album, when all they wanted to do was ballads.
Yep.
And they interviewed him years later. He's like, oh, fuck. He's like, I don't want to join like a hair metal ballad band. I want to be in a kick-ass. That's how I feel with it. But okay, to your point about the give, right? People get really mad about the time leap and Ripley being cloned, this and that. Aliens, she wakes up hundreds of years later too, right? So the time jump is nothing that new.
Nothing new.
I think the weird part of her being cloned, right, is the fetus existing in its form inside of her seems weird in its own way. But I'll put it to you this way. I don't think of this as like a cloning story, right, in any way. To me, It's a Wonderful Life with Ripley, right? She wakes up and there is what I love about Ripley, because I think a lot of the complaints in this, right, is that Ripley was this badass, just she knows how to do her job and she takes no shit and she kicks ass.
Right.
She doesn't need help from anyone. She's just going to get the fucking job done. She became this way before her time kind of woman hero that we, all like seeing on the screen. She's an archetype now.
Right.
And in this one, they turn her into a Xeno Sue, right? She comes back and it's like, oh, well, now I have acid blood and I can hear my babies. And
I mean,
there's a weird despondentness to her,
right,
that makes her a less active protagonist. But again, I think this is cool because what it almost feels like is Ripley's walking through this like Dante's Inferno of her existence, right?
Yeah.
So she wakes up and she's just kind of this. She doesn't care like in the other ones because the stakes are different. She's not really Ellen Ripley.
No.
Right? She is this because it works on two fronts, right? It's this like haunted hell walk for Ripley. So her being less engaged makes sense to me. And then you mix it with this. There's a really cool thing they do in the movie, which is the inevitable journey of evolution and science clashing, right? And the kind of Xeno Ripleys and then the Ripley with acid blood.
Right.
So, I mean, I actually enjoy the way they use Ripley in this movie.
Oh, no, I think the Ellen Ripley of this, when I say it's a give, that's for everyone else. I don't care that I don't understand it. I think it's awesome because to me, this is the real like key of the whole thing is this is the first of all the Alien movies where Ripley is not waking up in a situation she's not she has no control over. This is the first time we're getting to watch a movie where Ellen Ripley is actually, or whatever, Ripley 8 or whatever version she is. Mm-hmm. This is the first time where Ripley is actually a participant in the chaos itself. She's not reacting to everything. She kind of has a vibe of what's going on anyways because of what's inside her or what's around her, just in general. So for me personally, I actually really like this version of Ripley a lot. And I think Sigourney Weaver does she's great anyways, but like Sigourney Weaver does such a good job of knowing as an actress she's not playing the same character she's played 3 movies past. Like, yeah, that takes a lot of skill and a lot of effort. And I think that's another reason people kind of get thrown off in this movie a lot is because you see Ripley, it's this is the same actress who's played Ripley, but it's not Ripley. It's a very different thing. And I think that's what's cool is this is the first time in a long time where, in ever, that Ripley is less the protagonist and more the sort of the anti-hero almost, like because she's constantly goading everyone.
No, she is a Deus Ex Machina in this movie. Like she exists to explain things that don't all the way click together.
Right.
But again, even if it's not narratively as smooth, right? I think they use Ripley to really, because here's the difference, right? Ripley is somewhat on the same journey, right? I'm on a ship. These fucking corporate greedy fucks are going to unleash this hell force. I must stop it, right? The difference is, so like the dinner scene, right? Where her and Bradley Dorff and the scientist are all talking, right? And he's like, we've been training you, right? That little prick is just like laying into her. And but the difference is the line she states in that moment is you're all going to die.
You're all going to die.
It's inevitable. The motives might be different. You might say it's for this and that. He's like, oh, we'll get alloys and medicine and we'll get that out of you too, right? She's now like them. But when she says that, it's inevitable. The tone, she's having the same scene she's had in every movie.
Yeah.
Right? If you guys play
since
games
Aliens.
with this, no, even Alien, right? Because when she finds out that I think his name's Ash in the first one, right? The synthetic, his priority is he has to preserve that creature, right?
Yeah.
When she finds that out and she's like, you're putting them in front of us, right? She kind of knows. So this is the same scene every single movie. She has you cannot fuck around with this thing or it will get you. In this one, the inevitability, she just knows.
Yeah.
That they're gonna die. So I already know what's coming.
Right.
It doesn't really care. Like,
well, I think what's cool is it's not the usual reaction. I think that's a really important thing about this movie is Ripley's reaction to things in this movie is not what we're used to. Like one of my all-time favorite scenes in the franchise in general is in Aliens when she's asked to describe like what happened on the Nostromo, which is literally like just like, I can tell you this is what happened. And then like I can never remember the female actress's name, but where she's like
Vasquez is the character, I think. That's
Vasquez. Thank you. Yeah. Vasquez is just number one to point, like that kind of thing. She's like, I hope you're right. Like that to me is one of my all-time favorite Aliens moments is like her literally like begging them, like the confidence you show is fine, but you have absolutely no idea what you're up against. This is the first time where she's like, you guys have no idea what you're up against and you seem to not care. So why would I care? And why would I care as well? Like it's the aloofness that I think is so fascinating about Ripley this time, simply because yes, there's some shared DNA with aliens in general, but I think it's a matter of the way that they're playing, the way that she's playing her character this time is more about the knowledge she carries and the genetic like inheritance she has. So that plays a factor so often in how she decides to act around everybody. Like the way she is around Call, which is shit. What is her actual name? Winona Ryder's character. The way she acts around Call and the way she acts around all the scientists, which is not like all the scientists seem perfectly smug. Like I gotta tell you, like as far as like the smug scale of scientists in movies, like, oh, I have this under control. There's like Jurassic Park and these guys, they're like the same level of smugness of like, I know how to control nature. Yeah. It's wonderful. And like, what I love is that
Ripley finds a way.
Ripley finds a way. And it's literally like she herself is nature. She is nature itself. She is the progression of nature beyond. So like for her to sit there and be like, you're all going to die. And knowing the inevitability of that not just like, oh, you're going to die of old age, but knowing the inevitability that it's going to come soon. Like,
but that's the inherited memory, right? She's like in every movie, right?
Totally.
Alien, she wants to save her shipmates, right? Alien, she wants to save Newt, right? Alien 3, she's going to save life itself.
Yeah.
She does the falling into the lava like Jesus, right? Like, I'll take this to the grave. That's great. And this one, she's just fucking laughing. She's like, it's absurd. Yeah. I did everything I could and I saved you.
You guys
and
still
you still fucking couldn't. So
like,
this is the fun thing though, right? Because you're paralleling. The Xenomorphs are cool before, the Prometheus sequels and shit tried to ruin it. They're cool because they are this perfect creation of nature. That what they have done is they have harnessed over countless planets and life forms and whatever. They have honed themselves into this absolutely perfect murdering machine. All they do is destroy and replicate, right?
Right.
For Ripley to see them come back and have to deal with this, right? Now Ripley is a little bit in that skin because there's that great scene at the start when, oh, we finally got a living embryo. Can we keep her?
Yeah.
Right. And it kind of has a very creepy tone, right? And he's like, yeah, you can keep her. And what they've done in that moment is they are keeping her only as an experimental species like the Xenomorph. She is no longer one of them. She's not with them, right? She is this extra ghost lingering thing. And so watching this progression of Ripley into this also honed into a new thing, right? She's like it's like the caveman drawing of her becoming a Xenomorph eventually. Right. It's kind of a fun place. And so her just laughing at all these fucking lunatics
Yeah.
that are like, yeah, we can put 3 aliens in a cage. What could go wrong?
Right.
Is fucking insane. And to not ask her, what the fuck do these, like, all of it is fucking crazy, right? But the moments you look for in this, right, is the really fun thing they do, right? So Ripley is just laughing at the whole movie as it plays.
Right.
But you see the Ripley emerge, right? And that's the part I like. Is the start, she's more of this hybrid, I'm more Xenomorph than Ripley.
Right.
You see that change. And by the end, the Ripley reasserts itself, right? The Ripley is the nature that wins out. The scene that I will never forget from this movie is when she finds the lab with the rejected Ripleys, right?
What a
this abomination gallery of Ripleys.
So good.
It's just one of the most stunning scenes in the whole franchise. And watching this Ripley who's just laughed, right? You're gonna die. Who do I fuck to get off this? Like, she just is doing these fucking, ludicrous lines or whatever. But in that moment, she understands, right? She sees this degradation, right? This fucking abomination of how they treated this poor fucking woman, and realizing that she's just another part of that chain. Mm-hmm. It's fucking beautiful, to be honest. Like, I love that fucking scene, right?
I do too.
Yeah. And then you see the Xenomorph with the human skin on Ripley. It's fucking awesome. Like, I don't know how you see that scene and you're like, that one moment alone is worth this whole fucking movie.
I mean, is that not just like the imperfect encapsulation of these movies in general? Is you're just sitting there. It's literally a person walking through a horror show of not her making, but her people continually trying to make her. That is terrifying. Like, and imagine like there's this sort of really fascinating metaphor to me of her walking through that, because really what it is this, she's walking through every version of Ripley. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's the most disturbing moment in all the alien quadrilogy, I guess. I'm not counting the other ones, but like of all the original Alien movies, the most disturbing moment is literally Ripley walking through and realizing that she's not being treated as this. It's not a matter of her being this great, awesome, unforgettable heroine. It's her being a science experiment and needing to be replicated simply to create more of this death, more of this destruction, because these people think it's somehow a manageable way to keep things in life. Like, it's fascinating to me that people can watch this movie and not enjoy it simply for that scene alone. I agree.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You can't pull and extrapolate all that stuff right out of that scene and realize how cool this movie actually is. It's fascinating.
Well, the Aliens franchise has always operated on zombie rules as much as anything else, right? Where the people on the ship have to become the monster. Right. Not as much in Alien. You could say that, I think it's Ash is the first synthetic.
Ash is the first kind of bad.
When he starts attacking them, and trying to help the Xenomorph, now it is, there's a monster among us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the second one, you get, what's his name? Paul. I can't remember. Yeah. The guy from that terrible sitcom my mom used to watch, Paul Reiser.
Paul Reiser, yeah.
She used to watch this horrible sitcom with him.
It's mad about you.
Yeah, I was mad about having to watch that shit every week. It was terrible. But anywho, he's a great example, right? As he's this little fucking weasel that, he's the monster among us. And this movie's another great example, right? Where we just see that monster among us thing. I mean, in a way, I guess Alien 3 kind of has that in an obscure way of look at how they just left these human beings like trash.
Yeah.
Like they're nothing, right? And then they only come when there's a valuable Xenomorph. But anywho, this scene highlights the best thing about Alien, which is it's showing us the difference between us and the alien is that the aliens are just doing what they're programmed to do, right? Which is breed and, just be the best version of their species so they can keep living, right? There's no kind of malice to it. It's just inevitable, as Ripley says. What this is you are seeing them just so twist the flesh to try to capture that, but you can tell it comes from a mind and heart with vile intentions.
Right.
And I just think if you were to show, like, what are the 3 alien scenes that show why this is a great franchise, I think this might be one of mine, honestly. And I know people are probably screaming, fuck you. But I really, really
I don't know
like
why
a lot
you
of
would.
stuff.
I would agree with it. This is one of the best scenes in the Alien movies. Like, it's literally this character that we've loved, this character that we have been with the entire time. Our hero of the story is literally looking at her own mortality in a way that none of us have ever had the experience of looking at it. Like, she's looking down at literally a version of herself who's asking her to kill her. Like,
but what that scene does too is it has another enormous impact, right? Which is that's the scene where Ripley decides that it does matter.
right.
So even though she's not Ripley, that's when she decides, I won't kill the scientist. I'm going to try to keep these people alive. I'm going to fight. So watching this fucking horror show gives her that inner fire back and, reignites Ripley. So it's a really cool character turning point in a movie that I think people absolutely slam for having no character in story. The other thing I wanted to get to right now is this might be one of the best supporting cast in the whole franchise.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, because the ship pirates, right? The like smugglers who come aboard.
Betty? Yeah.
Dude, I have this thing. It's a D&D player thing, I think. I love awesome crews, right? Like I love to meet the team where you see like the weird, I'm the 2-gun guy who can aim well. And Ron Perlman's just that, chaos agent. Right. The mechanic in the wheelchair who's also got a gun in his chair. I fucking love this crew so much. And their introduction in the first little bits of them before they just start running in a straight line is awesome.
It's great.
I fucking love this crew.
That like 20-minute section from like when you're on the Betty and you're meeting everyone, like first off, any movie that's going to get Michael Wincott involved and give me like the guy who plays like that guy has a voice for the ages. I don't know why people don't use him more. Like, I think he's absolutely incredible.
Well, the Crow took his ass out. No.
That too. But like Michael Wincott's an amazing actor. Ron Perlman's great. That guy from Amelie, I don't know. I think is Dominic Pignon.
I love that guy so much.
He's so good. Like everybody is great in this movie. Like, and yeah, everyone's got their thing. Everyone's got their shtick. But that 20 minutes right there kind of like sounds off the cast itself. It's pretty rare you get like, especially in Alien movies, like Aliens has a dynamite team. Like
they're all great. Every movie is just loaded with amazing actors.
Crew, but this is the first one where you've had like, this is the first one where they're not all caught in one place. I think this is a really important thing and a really important distinction for Alien Resurrection is that these people are coming to the ship. They are voluntarily showing up because they're bringing these cryostasis people who are going to get
aliens. They went to the planet. They're like, we're going to save some Terra miners,
but they're all together. Like they've been together since the jump. This is the first one where like Ripley meets the team. Ripley meets the team in the middle of chaos, and she decides like there is something very interesting about that. And then on top of that, they're just like, who doesn't love fucking space pirates? I mean,
they're literally there because they just kidnapped miners and were like, use these guys as fuck tubes for these aliens. And I was like, oh man, perfect. But I mean, that's the thing. They all have great cast. I think what separates this cast is it plays more in it's self-aware of the genre, right? So what Genet is doing in the film is it feels like you're watching a serialized science fiction romp. Right. Whereas Alien's a very serious kind of horror film. Aliens is an action movie. Alien 3 is just kind of sad, like sad human stuff, which is great. I like Aliens 3 a lot as well. Yeah. But it's like, isn't it sad to be a human man? This one is so aware. They're doing this again, it's just like a space pirate romp, right? Monsters in space. Let's go. Yay. It's like Kroll, right? But on a spaceship. And you're like, I like that element of it, right? So while you could say that the other had better performance and maybe even stronger cast, I love this cast because they all so immediately buy in to the movie that they're making, right? They're not just trying to be that they know this is kind of a more pony up flick, right? This is a little more slapsticky.
Yeah. And
I think they do a great job, right? The exception to that is in the middle of this kind of mad romp, through this ship, is Bradley Dourif just giving one of my favorite performances in the franchise. Oh my God,
dude. Come on. He is just like, he starts the movie as like creepy, maniacal, like nearly kind of sexual with the aliens thing. And then ends it as,
I would say we could just throw that kind of straight in the trash. He must not have ran a test on the acidity of the inner body of these aliens.
Yeah, that dude definitely wanted to fuck a xenomorph. And then, but the thing that I love, and this has always been my favorite part too, and I remember the first time I saw this, I'm like, this is like Bradley Dourif like doing what he does the best.
Yeah.
When he's finally like the prophet at the end of the movie, like, so he's like sitting there cocooned in the nest and everything. And literally like,
he looks like Randy Marsh when he relieved himself in that. He's just like crusted himself to the wall. I love that the alien queen's like, I've been over here pregnant. I didn't goo him to the wall. And Bradley Dourif's like, no, I plastered myself up here. I was just so stoked to be
here. He has this awesome like voice of God thing where he's literally just explaining to Ripley, like, look what you did.
Yeah.
Look what you did. Like,
we'll
it's this creepy monologue.
But
I love Bradley Dourif in this movie.
His scene, though, you know the scene.
Oh, I know the scene.
His scene is when he's watching. Yes, your famous YouTube bit here. When he is mouthing, because it's funny because I think it looks at the start like he's mocking them. The power thing. I don't actually think that's what it is. I think he has a pure love and adoration.
I think he wants to kiss that thing.
Like, well, because the last thing he does is on the glass before he negs it, right? It's a classic dominatrix move when he negs it with the fucking cryo.
The fucking it's not steam, it's like cold freeze, right?
Yeah, it's like liquid nitrogen. Because when the Marine gets it, his arm snaps off, which is awesome. But yeah, so that's what he's hitting the Xenomorphs with. But he has the two, because that scene of him just looking at them with pure adoration is another one of those. This is a great microcosm of why this series rules, is because you're just seeing this fucking guy, like, he's looking at these things in such a science pornographic light. You know, he's just looking through these fucking Vaseline covered rosy tinted lenses. He cannot tell the danger that is but inches from his face. And I think that's really cool. And you pair that to the scene when, because also I thought it was really clever the way the aliens get out when they sacrifice one of their own.
I think that was awesome.
I mean, granted, I was like, wouldn't that like eat through the whole ship? Stop doing that. It's a, you know, an alien space pirate thing.
Right.
But when he looks back and he's got that like single tear, like, oh, fuck. Probably because he's like, oh, finally. It's like, I got to go lay down. This erection's going to make me pass out. But also fear. It's also that. I mean, those bits right there, though, Bradley Dourif in this movie, to me, worth the entire price of admission, man. I think there's so many great. The problem with Alien Resurrection is that when all the best stuff I liked in the movie, except for the ending, had happened, I paused the movie, and there was an entire hour left. So all of the shit that we've talked about how much we love happens in the first 50-ish minutes.
Hour. Yeah.
And then there is about 45 minutes of really lackluster and uninspired running through floors of the ship, where it's just kind of,
it's very Poseidon Venture-y. It's not very interesting.
And then, the final with her seed, her progeny, I love. Right. But that's what I think. If you focus in on the start of this, like even Dan Hedaya, it's like, this might be the worst casting in the history of the Alien franchise, but I know you love it.
I mean, it's because it's so shocking. Like, I gotta be honest, like, he must have just been on the lot that day. Like, it's the weirdest casting. Like,
he's a great actor.
No, I don't have a problem with him.
It doesn't fit at all in this.
But like, imagine any other actor in that role, and the fact that it's Dan Hedaya is, you're just like, no one must have been available that day. Like, something happened to the actor who was originally going to do it.
Yeah, was Arlie Emery just not available to, like, you know, bring some gravitas? But they keep insulting Hedaya, where he's so fucking undercut. You almost think it's to comical effect, right? Because the breathalyzer doors, I was like, this is so ridiculous.
Like, I think about every other actor. Like, it was so weird because I remember, like, the first time I watched it, I'm like, why is the dad from Night at the Roxbury in this? Like, this is a weird casting for me. Because I was like, this is like, yeah, Arlie Ermy, like Clancy Brown, like a lot of like actors who have been military guys, and like literally any other movie, this would make sense. The guy who from fucking Breaking Bad, who's in Starship Troopers, like that guy, like everybody else, any other guy,
500 guys.
There must be 500 other actors who could do this, and like it's crazy to me, but also kind of awesome that they're like, it's got to be Dan and Dan.
It's endearing because it plays back into this kind of straight to DVD kind of crazy sci-fi that we got a lot in the 80s.
Yeah.
There's a part though, I was like, is he on that ship for scientific reasons? Because when he wakes up, whatever's going on with that shoulder hair, I was like, you need to get a fucking biology science team in there and fucking figure out what's happening to this poor Rube. You know, like whatever's the way it's backlit too. I was like, he looks like the leader of the Umbrella Academy. Like, what the fuck is happening to this poor fucking Rube of a captain?
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable, the shoulder hair on this guy.
It's incredible. Incredible.
But it's like between that and the breathalyzer and shit, I'm like, they constantly are undercutting this motherfucker. And I didn't mind it. He's just kind of one of those. There are things in a movie where you see it, and a casting like this normally is a problem in a movie to me. It distracts me from the movie. You're like, why did they cast a person who's so not capable of bringing what this role needs? This role needs gravitas. I am the runner of a medical military operation. This is for the good of mankind. There should be some gravitas to that, right? There should, right. You know, I'm making deals for dead bodies. Instead he's played as this kind of weaselly, like, this will get me back in. You know, they won't mock my shoulder hair anymore. I'm back. And he's just, but the quirkiness of it kind of works. And when he gets his brain mashed out by the tongue stabber,
yeah,
you're like, it's a fittingly charming death for a weird casting. And so that's what this movie does a lot, is just bring these weird, disparate elements in, right? It's just loaded with ideas like that at the start. So you have this amazing kind of, Ripley doing a Jimmy Stewart through her fucking broken, horrible life. This, the fucking absolute taint of life's joke, right? Just mocking her, trying to find some humanity. Then you got this fucking goofball, hairy captain. Then you got this awesome pirates that are just fucking making thermos guns, and the wheelchair's a gun, right? Like it's just awesome. If the movie had kept that for the full duration, I mean, I think this is one of the more beloved moments. I think it's that kind of weird 30 to 40 minutes at the end there that kind of stunted some of this.
Yeah. I mean, there is that like really bad sort of, it's like really bad. Like you're saying in the beginning, like this haunted house thing in the middle is just not very interesting and not very good. And like, I think it's also something we've seen before in Alien, but to a much greater effect. Like I think of Aliens a lot of the time is like this, like trying to escape, but can't really escape. It works much better than.
Well, imagine Aliens where they have the radar, right? Ding, ding, they're right on top of us, man. And when she lifts her head up through that grate, or when, whoever lifts their head up through that ceiling, right, and you see the fucking aliens and it pops off. Amazing.
You know what's interesting? I realized
there's not a scene like that in this movie.
I realized watching this movie that I completely blended like when they're swimming through the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I actually blended that scene with the scene where they're swimming through the kitchen in Deep Blue Sea, because I thought I know this sounds weird. It's hard to mix those two up, but I thought I remembered a scene where someone's standing and getting like chomped. And I realized when I was watching, because Hillard, the girl with the thong in the very beginning, who's with Michael Wincott, she's the one who gets killed while they're underwater. I realized I replaced that kill with the Michael Rappaport kill in Deep Blue Sea. And I'm like, and again, like that's
so somewhere in your brain, there's a grafted image of Michael Rappaport in a thong getting his fucking feet licked on Devil's Night.
I guess. Like that's like, but that's but I think that's the kind of the like really weird thing about that section of the movie in general, is that it is just like sort of standard fare. And I think that's what doesn't sit well with people a lot of the time when they're watching this, is because Alien is so not like that. Mm. So for us to kind of like, I don't know, sit on old tricks doesn't.
My head is like a xenomorph. No, But again, it's
See,
one of
there it
those
is
two
now.
where you're just
Now
like,
I'm going to remember that
why
forever.
is there so much water on this spacecraft?
A lot of water.
Like, it's just, it just shows. And I think this
It's
is
weird.
the thing, is I feel like they hired a director and they didn't all the way trust where he was going. This feels like studio notes issues.
Very
Where
much
that's
so.
just lazy because they're just like, it's like a boat. Do what? Like, it's just,
No,
it's
you're right.
so uninteresting.
There's a lot of you can see the studio intervention here and there. It is kind of interesting because
Pair
like,
that scene with the alien rising out of the water to grab Newt. It's like, that's the problem with this section.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of crazy thing about this movie, and especially like the way it was made is because like at the time I read a lot about how this movie got made, because to me, like I think Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who's the guy who directed it, is the same guy who directed Amelie, which is, again, he's an amazing director. It's a weird choice to direct this movie simply because like the guy doesn't speak English. He had to have an interpreter on set the whole time. Also at that time, the other, like there was like, they didn't have studio space to shoot this movie. So like, because the other movies that were shooting in all the studios in the city were Titanic, Starship Troopers, and The Lost World. So like literally every major studio did not have room for this movie to be made. So like when you look at it, to me, that's the thing that's really fascinating, is like it feels very independent in a lot of ways. Like I don't know how you feel about like the spaceship stuff, but all that stuff seems very like low budget in a lot of ways.
It feels like those Canadian science fiction TV shows from
yes.
the 90s. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
like whatever that
it's crazy,
Star
though.
Maker or something like that.
Yeah. And it's so brutal because you see something like Delicatessen or Amelie or City of Lost Children. Is that?
Yeah. City of Lost Children.
Those movies are so unique in their cinematic language, right? The visual storytelling is so beautiful. And then to see this just kind of muted,
it's weird
visual version of this, because again, you can see the kind of quirky characters, and he worked with Perlman in a lot of his stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you can see you can see those fucking bits of what could have been.
Right. Well, there's a lot of black comedy in it. Like,
but I mean, it's just
weird.
It's so visually flat so often.
Yeah.
Right. That like scenes in Delicatessen, right, where it's like using the bed squeaks, and then we're cutting around this dilapidated house of cannibals. You're like, that's what this movie could desperately have used to church it up. If you're not going to follow the alien looming dread, right? The, Damocles Xenomorph, as it were, fucking go nuts with it. You know what I mean? That's what this movie really needed.
Right.
And it feels like a handcuff job to me.
The thing is,
and I think this movie would have failed a lot of us, but I think the ending for me absolutely delivers.
Yeah.
Right. Not necessarily like the last couple moments, but I fucking adore Ripley and the Queen and the little white chud. I fucking love that segment.
Can we name him?
So fucking much. Yeah. So Ripley and the Xenomorph Queen and Stephen Miller.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Shots fired.
We're very political on this show now.
Yeah. Wait, who's that guy? No, he's the little fuckhead I was on. I was just like, who looks like the saddest, baldest white I can think of? And I was like, Stephen Miller. But neither here nor there, right? So Ripley and Stevie, Lil Stevie, and the Xeno Queen, right, had their showdown. And Bradley Dorff's fucking pasted himself to the wall doing a narration, right?
Hello,
he's doing an ASMR for himself. Vaginal birth now. It's like the weirdest fucking niche pornography.
He's like the nurse who has never seen a vaginal birth before, and he's sitting there like,
yeah, he looked like me when my first child. Yeah. No, Bradley Dorff's the exact opposite. He was so in. But this scene has some other shit that I love, right? I love the idea that Ripley has corrupted an alien queen.
Me too.
Because
it's awesome.
There is no fucking argument to be made that the alien queen giving birth in this way is an improvement on the model they had.
Absolutely.
In Aliens, we see her make hundreds of eggs, and all she has to do is find a place with rube human beings. Doesn't seem that hard in this universe, right? They're like, we're coming for the money. They get face hugged out of existence, right? In this one, she just makes one little Stevie, and he comes out and fucking slices her head off. And again, I love that this kind of melted humanoid xenomorph just so easily crushes the queen. It's this absolute fuck you to the apex pinnacle predator that the xenomorphs have become.
Totally.
And it showed that Ripley took her revenge in a way as well.
I think that's the best part about it, is that it does feel like Ripley's revenge a little bit. Like, it's like, you think you're this apex predator, you think you're the queen, truly. I'm going to give you what I have, and I'll show you the flaw. And like, I'll show you your true flaw.
Well, she's just like, you think getting fucking smacked out of an airlock is bad. Wait till you push a kid out. You want to know real torture and pain and hell?
You want to know real torture? You're going to give birth, bitch.
Yeah. And then that motherfucker, she's going to turn around and slap your face off.
Slap your face off.
But I just thought that was a poetic moment to me. It might just be visually kind of weird enough that I dug it, and Bradley Dourif just being there really worked for me. But I thought it was pretty amazing, honestly. And then, you know, again, we do a really boring, the ship is 200 yards. It's like, what do we have to do? Just kind of walk. You'll get there. It's fine. Right. And they jump into a ship and they just disappear. Right. I mean, kind of the ticking clock is, this ship's going back to shithole country Earth. Oh no. That's what Ron Perlman says, right? He's doing what a shithole country Earth, or shithole planet Earth. Right. And so that's like what we're supposed to care about, even though we've never been bonded to Earth in any of these movies.
Not at all.
But you know, it plays on we live on Earth. Oh my God.
Right.
I guess I care about Earth in like 10,000 years, whatever. But her running out, right? And it kind of gets into this, you know, calls a robot. You know, we kind of did that scene. Yeah. You know, we're all cool, right? Ripley's not hateful of robots anymore. Fine, whatever.
Actually, can I have to, before
yes.
The guy who plays DeStefano, he's this actor named Raymond Cruz. He's in Training Day too. He's the guy who has the lines like, "Get my shit pushed in, bro." Okay,
that poor guy. That's gonna be on his gravestone.
He's the guy in this. Okay, he does the exact same bit though when he finds out that Winona Ryder's character is an Auton, which is basically a robot created by robots. And
I thought that was a cool idea too. I wish we would have explored some of that.
I thought that was awesome. I love that bit. Like when she talks to the ship, I think that's really cool. But like,
she came on as an assassin and they just kind of let it float in the breeze.
But
yeah, it would have been cooler.
But he has this, oh shit, I've never even seen one. Oh my God, that's so fucking cool. Like he's basically like the fanboy who's in Hall H who got like a great seat and saw like, you know, Elizabeth Olsen up close. Like he's like, oh my God, it's so cool. Like
push my shit in. That's what Bradley Dorff was saying when he crusted himself to the wall. But no, for me, it was just like,
sorry, going on.
I don't know how that guy wasn't just part of the crew, because he starts off as like the rule following Marine.
He's like one of the fucking Marines. Like,
and then just so immediately becomes a space pirate so happily.
He's so happy to be a space pirate.
He's just like, yeah, that last guy with all the body hair, gross. I'm a pirate.
Sorry, strange aside, but I think Raymond Cruz is like one of my all-time favorite character actors.
That's what I mean. This thing is just loaded with really cool little performances, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I liked the ending I liked watching Ripley save these people and call at the expense of what is essentially her progeny.
Child. Yeah.
Yeah. And I liked because that's one of the weird things they do in the movie is she keeps calling herself the mother of monsters, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like she's playing this kind of game. And that starts to break a little bit once she sees the Hall of Ripley's, right?
Yeah.
And so I love at the end, it comes full circle in a really nice way for me, where she does send this child out, but she has this really kind of cool bonding moment with it. And I don't think is absolutely just to set it up for betrayal. I think she's actually torn before she makes that decision, which is kind of a weird place for that moment to sit.
I agree.
And when she does it and she's holding on, the emotion that Sigourney Weaver plays is regret and mourn and how tragic this is.
She's a mother who knows, like, I'm not saying mothers do this, but like she's a mother who knows that her child is a killer. Like she has to, she knows that this cannot survive because it's one of them.
If a human baby, let's say 1 out of 5 of them came out and ripped the mom's face off, we'd be killing babies all the time.
I'm not saying that that's not a thing.
Yeah, but like, our babies are weak and frail and lovable.
Yeah, but it is just one of those things where you're just sitting there and you see it is this like motherly regret of like, I wish I could save you. I wish I could teach you to be one of us, but like you're not, and I can hide in plain sight, but you can't. It's truly, it actually is like, it's pretty emotional when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's well done.
And I know people shit all over the creature design, but I actually really like it. Has these really beautiful eyes.
Yes.
Like the eyes really played a lot for me.
People don't like the creature design?
I guess it's not the coolest thing I would
Is it
ever
because
imagine.
you can't see the dick? Is it because you can't see the dick? They took the dick out?
Yeah, that was my really big hang up.
That's everyone's hang up. I can't see its fucking penis. What's the point?
I mean, this movie just has like kind of a ghost phallus energy throughout it that like I was pretty set by the end of the film.
This movie's essentially a giant dick in their face the entire time.
Yeah, I didn't need the Xeno hog at the end. I was like, I get it. This is more about a mom and her baby. But I like that part, man. In the final shots of like seeing like an actual beautiful, nice Earth that, hey, it's better than we thought. I don't know that part matters, right? There is this thing with Ripley, right? She's just killed the only creature that is like her in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows probably that her life is going to continue to be this fucking hellscape that it always is. They're not just going to let them land and let Ripley walk away. I'm sure there's notes on a hard drive that's like, hey, she's worth a lot. She's got the Xeno blood.
Who knows?
But anywho, just that kind of moment of her seeing this Earth, which she's never been to. It's kind of a false concept in general to her.
Mm-hmm.
But she at least kind of gives it it could be cool. There's hope, right? It's kind of just a fittingly serene ending for this movie. Like so again, I think that sandwich on either side of that rough patch are just really cool, big sci-fi ideas that are really fun. And an amazing group of actors playing really interesting characters in what could have been so much more, but still ends up being a really fun experience in the Alien franchise.
I agree.
I mean, people talk about this movie like it's unwatchable, and I just think that's insane. I don't think this is Escape from LA level.
No, I don't think
because Escape from LA is another one of those like woof, but that has cool moments too. I think this one is a better version of that.
Yeah, I don't think this is an unwatchable movie. Like I've seen unwatchable movies. Griffey and I went to the theater and watched Justice League. There's plenty of unwatchable movies out there.
Whoa, Snyder Bros, we like to cut. Don't come at us.
I'm strictly talking about another movie I watched, but legitimately, like this is not to me an unwatchable film. Like to say it's unwatchable is kind of disingenuous and like you're just like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But at the same time,
through a tiny blowhole or a suck hole.
But at the same time, like this has all of the earmarks, has all of the DNA again of an Alien movie, but it does something different. And that's really all you can ask, especially for a movie that's the fourth in a franchise. If you're going to ask a movie to be the fourth movie in a franchise, you got to expect it to go places you're not expecting it to go. And I think other than 30 or 40 minutes of really bad haunted house Poseidon adventure shit, this movie itself actually works very well for me as an Alien movie.
But even then, right? So sandwiching this kind of rough, like not super interesting trek through the ship, right?
Yeah.
We still have, the guy in the wheelchair getting carried on someone's back as they swim underneath. They're shooting underwater rockets.
Yep.
There's still plenty of
There's still stuff to check out.
Stuff going on. It's fine. It's fine. You get to see the Xenomorphs in a new environment, showing again how they can adapt to it. I mean, it's fine. It's just fine.
It's fine. It's just
people. Again, would like to have seen that Jeannot touch really hit the visual storytelling. I mean, that's the big thing that I wish I could have seen.
I think for me, there's camera movements in there that are Jeannot-ish, but like again, because it's an action movie, I think it's a matter of comfort, and I think it's a matter of like studio a little bit, but there is enough in there where I feel like I'm watching at least a little bit of Jeannot, but at the same time, like it's
also one of those guys. It's like you have Alien, you have Aliens, you have Alien 3. So pretty much anything you want in this series is covered. This one's just a little bit more of an adventure flick, right? This is a D&D adventure party movie, right? It's a choose your own adventure, and it's okay, man. You guys talk about this movie so harshly. I actually really enjoy this movie. And on most days, I would choose to watch this one over part 3 because it's a little more fun and weird to me. I like part 3. I think part 3 is I think you can make a pretty good case that most people would accept it's a better movie than Alien Resurrection. But I think Alien Resurrection is more fun.
I agree. I raise a freeze-dried whiskey glass to it anytime it's on.
Yeah. That arm hair, dude. Haunting. I guess it did have some horror elements. I was like, how'd you even get that tank top on?
I mean, how did we not do this for Werewolf Month? But, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
you win some,
that's
you lose
why
some.
He's the long-lost descendant of the Pasadena Teen Wolves. He's just like, now I'm like a shitty space captain drinking
How did we
whiskeys.
not program this next to The Howling? I'll never know.
That's true. Well, failure is what we do here on this here ship. Now, all right, guys. I hope you had fun in our month of March Madness. Next month, the pod takes the case. We are doing all courtroom films. Up first, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. An amazing flick that we're very excited to talk about.
So
Lots
excited.
of fun guests coming up, guys. So you can go to Letterboxd and find our Film Alchemist podcast list that lets you know everything we have coming up. Again, rate, review, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Film Alchemist. Email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. Find us on all the socials you're on. Anytime you want to get a hold of us, guys, we're here. And we love you guys.
Available.
We'll see you next month when we take the case.
Gung, gung.
Yeah, revisit Alien Resurrection, guys. You owe it to yourselves.
Give it another shot, guys.